Everybody smile. There we go. Whoops, sorry. There we go. Smile. Nice rainy morning. We're all sitting here eating carbohydrate prizes. Nice. Okay, very good.
Carbohydrate prizes. Yeah.
So when you were seniors, I will torture you with that picture. Look at that and go, I can't believe I look like that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of information to cover. Information will help you as well as possible on your project today. One of the things is that when adults are up here speaking, we're going to ask that you be as attentive as possible. Another piece of that is that we will ask, there will be some times when we will ask you to have your cell phones out for particular activities, but other than that, we would like to see, like to make sure that all cell phones are off. As a matter of fact, while we are sitting here talking, I'm going to turn mine off because it has a tendency to ring in my pocket when if I don't. Okay, so make sure cell phones are off and away, please. A couple other things. I think everybody's aware of this, but if you're not, the restrooms are right out this door and right over that corner across the hall. You can go at any time. You do not need a pass. You do not need to put your hand up. You can, if you just, if it's a time where you need to do that, you can just slip quietly out and head over there. This is one of the things about these trips and some of the other things that we will do is that we trust you to be responsible, and our students generally do a really good job with that. So a couple of things about what we're here to do today. I mentioned we're going to get into your first semester project, which is kind of a big deal. And we'll talk about why we do projects and how we do projects. This is the first opportunity that you're going to have to work with students from other schools. You're going to have to do some of this on your own. Some of this you will do with students from other schools. We'll talk about what's behind that and how that helps. We get a tremendous amount of feedback from the students who have graduated from this program and going off to college and other things, and who tell us about how this helps to get them ready for that environment. So that's a lot of what we're doing. We'll talk a little bit about that. But one of the most important things that we do as a program is that we make sure that, one of our missions when the state of Virginia sponsors the governor's schools, they say, look, we want to build a community of learners. We want students from different counties and different schools to get to know each other. We've had students who have, from different schools who have roomed together in college. We've had students get married. So you might even have your future spouse in the room somewhere. Just look around. See what's there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick go around and meet 10 other people activity. Okay? Well, actually, it's a few more than that. So, in just a sec, hey guys, you're going to get a piece of paper that's got a number of different questions or things you have to find out from other people in the room. You've got to find other people who meet those characteristics, get them to sign off. It says you have to have all schools represented on your answers when you bring these up. So what you're going to do, as soon as you get all of these things answered, you're going to come up. We've got a different set of carbohydrate prizes for this week. So when you, got a little bit of everything here, Luke. And pizza. And pizza, yeah, there you go. We will have pizza for lunch. So one of the things, don't start on this until everybody's gotten one and I've given you the signal to go. And when we say go, you're going to have to get up, go around and talk to people. Again, you will need all four. Today we have 4 of our schools represented. So obviously we've got Goochland, we've got Fluvanna, we've got Louisa, and we've got Nelson. So you will need somebody. And so kind of geographically, the Nelsonians are up here. We got the, let's see, Goochland over here, right? Louisa's over here, and Fluvanna. But you guys will be moving around. You'll need to move around the room. This is something for you guys to find answers. Once you have the 10, guys, once you have 10, we'll move to the front of the room. We'll check those off for carbohydrate prizes. Then what we'll start doing is calling people with like 9 and 8, 7, 6. We're not going to take a ton of time on this. So Ms. Carr, Mr. Dorico are going to hand these things out. Again, wait until everybody's. I think that's air conditioning, or it's Texas coming our way. I'm not sure.
Somebody outside with a not the hurricane siren. Somebody's outside with a hose.
It's really more time up here, please. So take a look over these, figure out what kind of information you need to find. Remember that teachers count as well, teachers and adults, teachers and other adults, I should say. So everybody got one? Not quite. All right. Get up, go find people, get answers, and come up front when you're finished.
No.
Boy, you must be playing there.
I've never been in bed. I haven't been in. What is your last name? What is your birthday? Are you left-handed? Me too. Oh wait, no, I'm not. Right with this hand. Have you traveled outside of Virginia? All the way to Hawaii. You know, I just do it to get it. I'm in no
Your first name. No. You plan to? No. Do you have more than one friend? Yes. No. Okay. That's fine. Hold up.
No one did work. I did somebody.
Joel, your name is
And you can kind of start, we know every time you're gonna.
I think.
Yeah. Luis already started it. Let's just say no. First thing trophy. And then we have one on that. Cassie, do you want to do Cassie, when we work, I'm going to say that we play rock, paper, scissors, and then we did, I'm going to say that I won. Or is it just L? I know you're not. Born in December. Is anybody born in December? Actually, so one person.
All right, you got about 2 more minutes to get as many as you can.
Hey, where do we go when we're done?
Pardon?
Where do we go? I know.
Okay, there's the table right there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time out.
I finished.
If you have 10 or more, go ahead up to the table here. Otherwise, head back to your seats. We're going to call everybody up by the number you have. So start heading back to seats, please. All right, head back to your seats, please. I will call you all up by the number you have.
Why does no one have the first name?
What happened to my screen?
Yeah, I did. I wonder if that kid. Okay, they are.
You do not have 10. You need to be in your seat. Guys, all right. And maybe help those guys check them in. All right, guys. For the second number. Oh.
Now Jazzy style.
All right. If you have 8 or 9, come up and line up over here.
I have 11.
8 or 9.
I have 11.
That was not me. That was not me.
All right, line up over here, guys. Thank you.
I'm not going to be a deep person. I'm just going to get
All right, I'll take one over here. Come on up, guys. All right, if you have fewer than 8, you can still come up and get in line behind here. Come on up, guys. Hey, guys, come on up. Come on up. There you go.
Everybody's like
guys. Come on, keep going, keep coming. Come on around.
Guys, careful. Careful. Yellow water. You're not my bodyguard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're wrapping up here. Very nicely done. One of the things, again, you'll have opportunities and you will, over time, work with lots of people from lots of different schools as part of this program. And that's one of the advantages to this program. I think it's the orientation I was talking about this. It's kind of a travel team for your brain. You're working with people from other counties. You guys are challenging each other at high levels. That's something you're going to be doing both on this project and other things that you do. So we want to kind of get into what this project is about. Before I do this, I want to talk a little bit about why we're here. What is it that Blue Ridge is about? We talked a little bit, for those of you who are at orientation, we talked about this, but I don't think it can be said enough because there are a lot of people, when I asked the question at orientation, why are you here? A lot of people said basically, it looks good on my college application, or my mom made me. Exactly, right? So a lot of people going, yeah, that sounds familiar. Here's the deal. Things look good on college for a reason. Okay? It's not just, colleges are not looking for boxes to be checked off. What they want to know for somebody that's heading off to college, or an employer wants to know, or the military wants to know, they want to know that people have certain abilities, that they have practiced certain skills, that they're able to do certain things. And that's why they look good. So if you have, for example, played an instrument, played in the school band for all 4 years, that looks good because they know that that represents a level of commitment and a level of practice that means, hey, this is somebody who can really accomplish something above and beyond. Same thing for sports, same things for clubs and other activities you do, and same thing for this. And here's the thing about this program. We've got you for one little slice of your 4 years of high school. And that's an unusual thing. Most people kind of go through high school, everybody kind of has a different set of classes, different kind of set of pathways they take. But in this program, you're going to be taking certain things each year that will help build a particular set of knowledge and skills that hopefully will help you to be as successful as possible. So that's kind of the main deal here. So we're here kind of three main reasons. The first is that we want to present you with challenges. And challenges look like a lot of different things. They might look like learning a sport and practicing, going out. How many people play sports here? Just out of curiosity. That's a lot. Good. Okay, sports is good. Here's the thing about sports. Think about when you report for that first day of practice for the season. That's hard, right? Like I played soccer in high school. Our coach wouldn't let us even touch a soccer ball until we could run 5 miles without stopping. That was like this. But we ran everybody else in the ground. So it was a great skill. It was a challenge. But you rise to that challenge and then you get better at what you do. So you've got that. You might be learning a musical instrument. That takes hours and hours of practice. It might be learning, working your way through a video game. You have to die a lot before you can get to the next level, right? Right? It might be.
Oh no.
Your favorite book on the planet. So here's the deal with that. We talked a little bit of it at orientation. We do not give you gun services skill to make you military. We do because, as I bumped into one of our students last year who was at University of Virginia, studying in her first year at University of Virginia, I said, what's different about college? She said, we read 300 to 500 pages of stuff like this every week. I said, I know how to do it. She was happy about knowing how to do it. I know it's not easy, but it is challenging. It is challenging in the way that the first practice of the year or picking up a new instrument is challenging, or getting yourself into a new game. It's challenging. It's different. You rise to that challenge, though, and this is the whole thing about this program. You're going to be given a lot of opportunities. And I know it doesn't always feel like the most fun opportunities, but the opportunities are designed to help you get as good as possible at the things you do. The other thing we want you to do while you're in this program is to get inspired. There are lots of opportunities, as I mentioned. One of the things that happens, the farther you go along, you'll have lots of different courses to choose from. And then as a senior, you can study anything in the world that you like. So that goes all over the map for our students. We got people studying architecture and engineering and all kinds of arts, all kinds of different stuff. So a couple of different examples that popped in my head. A senior from Nelson County High School a few years ago, Jesse Stowe, built a sensor for blind people so that they could something they could like attach to a hat or something that, as they walked around, they could actually tell when objects were in front of them. That's pretty cool. We got to work with like a lot of artificial intelligence, got to work with university people who were helping design some of the tools of the future. I mean, that's awesome. Then he went off to school to do engineering stuff. Last year, Tamara Sherman from Orange, she studied at a film institute up in Culpeper, Library of Congress, and she learned how to work and preserve films and things. Well, she just emailed me about 2 days ago because she got a job at UVA where she's a student. She got a job, she's looking for something to do. She got a job with the library doing something very similar, but she's going to be handling rare documents and artifacts in the library, getting paid for it, and she's loving it. So those are the kind of things that you can do in this program. You know, it's not just a box to check off for your college. But at the end of it all, it's you guys doing it. I mean, we're putting all those opportunities. We will help you. We will support you. We will try to bring you everything that you need to learn, but you got to do it. And sometimes that's not easy. Sometimes it's like, I don't want to read gun services deal, or I don't want to write this paper, or I don't want to do this. We know that. You guys are busy people. You have a lot of stuff on your plate. We also know that you have a lot of stuff that's not just Blue Ridge stuff. But again, part of this is managing it, part of it is communication. We're going to talk a little bit about the specific skills that you're going to learn and practice through this project. And that's the last thing, the preparation, the skills that you learn are really important. Because here's the deal. You guys are going to be thinking in terms of getting the best grades, best SAT scores, you know, kind of lining yourselves up for those of you who are interested in going to college, which I'm guessing it's just about everybody in here. You're going to be kind of interested in that. Again, colleges are not just looking for that. As a matter of fact, a lot of colleges are starting to take some of those things off the table. Guys, please don't talk while I'm talking. Thank you. Thank you. So, a big part of this is what skills then, if you're not looking at like the best scores and things like that, what are the skills that you're looking for? So this is just a little bit of information on some of the things that we work on a lot in this program. Just about 2 minutes here.
We now have very hard evidence that you have to have soft skills in order to succeed. The dimension of success in American life has been the test score, the IQ test score in particular, but also an achievement test score like the SAT. If you get a high SAT, then you get to Harvard. If you get a low SAT, forget it. Should that be the main measure of a person? No. It's important, but there are other skills that are just as important. These are the non-cognitive skills, sometimes called soft skills, that have to do with sociability, the ability to communicate, to get along with others, the ability to have self-control. You've probably heard about the famous test of Walter Mischel, the marshmallow test. He gave these little kids marshmallows and said, here's a marshmallow, you can have it. Now, if you're willing to wait, say 20 minutes, you will get a second marshmallow, but you have to wait to eat the first marshmallow to get the second marshmallow. So some of the kids couldn't wait, they ate the marshmallow, others waited. 20 years later, Mischel follows them up. The ones who waited for the marshmallow, what happened to them? Higher test scores, they graduate high school, they go on to college, they're successful in a number of dimensions. So these traits of self-control, deferred gratification to be the term, those turn out to be predictive. now. We've understood that these soft skills are actually have hard effects, that they're as important, and in some areas more important for success than just straight IQ. It sounds very touchy-feely, very soft, but it isn't. And that's the part. We have a growing body of evidence that shows that these factors matter, they predict, and the wonderful news is they can be improved. Soft skills are very important because they actually lay the foundations for then later learning.
It's just kind of a real quick shot. That study, by the way, is one that's been replicated a number of times. So if you actually have and can exercise more self-control, like that whole thing, little kids can wait for a marshmallow, and it turns out they're much more successful in life. The good news with all of that is it turns out that you can actually teach kids how to do that kind of self-control. And they found that the outcomes are the same. If you learn, let's say you're one of those kids and you went ahead and just grabbed the marshmallow and stuffed it in your mouth. And say, okay, we're going to come back, we're going to teach you how to wait for 20 minutes. We're going to give you some other things that you can do and some other ways to kind of approach that. Turns out that if they learn that skill and they can wait for the second marshmallow, they are as successful as people who had that tendency in the first place. So it's an interesting part of this. I mean, again, we hit you, I know, with gun terms of steel and some other things, and you'll be hit with other academic classes. The question for you is, how do you learn how to meet those challenges? Because they will help you be more successful in lots and lots of ways. So that's what we're going to be doing a lot of with this project. Come on, next. All right. So some of the skills, just so you know, some of the skills that we focus on for Blue Ridge are some that are on this little wordle here. But we're going to be talking today about teamwork and cooperation. That's a huge one. There's not a public presentation in this project, but you will have presentations later on, which is an interesting thing because a lot of people are more afraid of presentations than they are of sharks. Go figure. But we'll be talking about communication. We'll be talking about things like problem solving, trying to figure out how to make decisions as a group. These are all really critical skills. So that's a lot of what we're going to be working through. So that said, we're going to get you into this project a little bit here. How many of you guys have really looked at this website, the project website? Okay. This is, from here on out, I would say this is what you want to do, because this is the how-to guide on this project. You're wondering about what you need to do for your paper. You're wondering about what you need to do for research. You're wondering what the dates are, what the next steps are. This is what you need to do. And so this is a pretty critical piece here, this project site. So the project, I want to just spend a second looking at the site. Does everybody know how to get to the website or get to the project site? Some, maybe not so much. Okay, everybody know what our website name is? brvgs.k12.va.us. I know it auto-populates, but I just want to put it now. When you go to our website, I guess we could take down the enjoying summer adventures. You go under academics, it says current projects. Well, this is your current project. And so this is the world history. It's the top one, Technology Through the Ages, a virtual museum. So this, again, is the site where you will have everything that you're going to be doing on this project. So most of our projects are very similar. They have an individual component, something that you need to do to become an expert in your topic. So to learn the content, to research it, figure things out, and then something that you need to do with the team. So that's what this project is all about. So in order to find out different stuff, you want to find out what you need to do as part of your group, you would go down to group work, and there's lots of different things down here. You got your group assignments, like what teams you're on. We've got later on, we're going to get your group sites, and we'll have links to those. We'll have a peer review process where you guys will actually be kind of judging and grading each other's sites. But I'm going to start up here on the home page, because this really gives you kind of the overview for the project. It tells you what all different things need to happen. So prior to the kickoff, which is today, you're supposed to research and bring your ideas of inventions in. We'll have a kickoff. Then you're going to start to, one of the things today, when you leave, everybody here will be assigned to a particular invention from your civilization. So everybody will know exactly what it is you're doing. You've been kind of looking at it in the big picture. What did the Incas do? They had had bridges, they had this, they had that. So today you will have very specific information about which invention you will be researching and writing about. Then you're going to come back together in about a month and a half, and you'll be with all the other people who have that same civilization, and you guys will work to start a website where you're going to be featuring those. And that website is actually a virtual museum. We'll talk about that in a second. But this is critical because one of the things it does is it gives you all of the information that you need to have, including, and this is always an important thing, project dates. And if you look up here, you will notice there are lots of project dates. Lots and lots and lots. One of the things that we do is we take our projects. I mean, we're starting this, it's August. This project's going to be due basically the first week of December. So that's a lot of time. I mean, that's like a lifetime. How do you break that stuff up a little bit? And this is something that will be a challenge for you when you hit the college level. You're going to be given, you'll be given a syllabus that says, hey, you've got a paper due on October 15th. And they'll give you that syllabus maybe like the first day you're in class in August. You've got to figure out, when am I going to do that? Because if you've got a paper due on October 15th, what you don't want to do is wait until October 14th to start it. And a lot of people do that. There's a lot of science about showing. People say, oh, I do my best work under pressure. I always do great at the last minute. A lot of research says that's complete bunk. That most people do not do well under time pressure. You need to. And the other thing and it's like studying. If you study 10 minutes a day, every day, you do much better than studying 60 minutes the night before the test. Just research-based. So stuff like that. So for this, we try to break these projects out so you can manage that time. You know what's coming up. You've got games, you've got concerts, you've got other things that you're doing. You can look at this and go, yeah, okay, so I know that I'm going to have, my first draft paper is due on October 18th right here. If I know that first draft is due on October 18th, have that thing basically ready to go several days before that. Set your own deadline that's ahead of that. One of the things you guys all have in your Blue Ridge accounts is you all have a calendar. You can set up your own dates in the calendar, and you can even make it when you make an event in a calendar. If you click on you just click on whatever date, and it'll ask you what it is you want to do. You start that event, and there's a little tab in there that says Edit Event. You can actually tell it to remind yourself. I get mine to text me. My calendar texts me all day long. And it's like, tell me, do this, do that, because I forget about it, because I got a million things to do. So that's a good, that's a skill that you can learn and practice while you're doing this stuff. So again, one of the things you'll want to do, and you'll want to do this with your teachers when you get back, is to look at these dates and make sure that you know everything that's done, that is required. First big step for you guys is going to be this research paper. So how many of you guys have written a research paper before? Okay, about maybe 50-ish%. So a lot of the papers that you do in the world of SOLs, a lot of papers that you do are called expository papers, basically, where you're writing about a topic that maybe you know about, but not necessarily research. We do research papers in this program because that's what that's what we want to help you learn for college and beyond. Research papers are using actual, credible sources. And one of the things that we'll do today, I'm sure you've had some conversation in your classes about this, but Ms. Carr is going to talk to you about what constitutes a credible source, because there is a lot of junk on the internet. There's a lot of stuff. If you start, I'll give you, with all of the stuff that's been in the news lately, you can find lots and lots of stuff that is credible about, say, Nazi history and Holocaust, and you can find a lot of stuff that's absolutely flat out lies. And your job as a researcher and a student is to know what the differences are. When you're looking at stuff, you can have, Bob's site on the Incas, and Bob is just a guy who's real lonely sitting in his basement somewhere in Iowa who's just like making stuff up about the Incas. That's not what you want to use on your paper. So, one of the things that, you'll do as part of this program is get into research skills. Actually, next year, if all goes well, we'll get you, we actually work with UVA in 10th grade and 12th grade to go over and work with college libraries about research, which gives you a great leg up when you actually get to college. So this has all of your paper requirements on this page. I'm not going to go through all this stuff because, again, this is for you to review with your teachers. But also, one of the things that we include on all of our sites is how you're going to be graded. So it's always a good idea to look at your rubrics and say, how am I doing? You want to self-assess. Because we're going to tell you right up front, this is what we're going to grade you. And you want to be able to look at that and to know what the differences are going to be there. So, again, I'm not going to spend a great deal of time on this, but I do want to talk about, just from the standpoint of the project, I'm going to talk about what it is we're doing here. And again, it's ultimately you're going to be doing building a virtual museum. So here's what I want to do real quick, just with somebody next to you for just a couple of minutes. Figure out what's your definition of a museum. Think about 1 minute. Find somebody next to you and figure out what's the definition of a museum. Okay, time out. So what is a museum? What do you guys say?
We said a museum is something or somewhere, like it could be a site. In our case, it could be a website, it could be a physical place. You go to learn facts on a certain topic.
Okay, so it could be a site, could be a physical place, or it could be a site where you go to learn facts about a topic. Okay, very good. What's another definition maybe that somebody else came up with? Yes. A place or source you can use to learn to use about history. What else might we say about a museum? Only history museums? What else is in museums? Science, art, all kinds of stuff. And what? So here's something to think about. What's there? You just go in, it's just words. Like you walk in, they just have like paragraphs about science or art up on the museum.
Artifacts and fossils and things.
Artifacts, fossils, examples, inventions, all different kinds of things. So your site, you are going to be building a virtual museum. Obviously, you can't put real artifacts. But one of the challenges for you guys, and this is down the line a little bit after you become experts in the topic, one of the challenges be how do you represent your invention? You know, words, nice, picture, better, video, even better, things like that. Thinking about how you're going to essentially show that stuff off is going to be a critical piece for you. So actual definition, this started off with a building. This is the Merriam-Webster definition. It's a building in which interesting and valuable things are collected and shown, or an institution. I tend to think we're more like the institution here, or a place where objects are exhibited. So you will be, in this website, you're really going to be exhibiting objects. So in your research, you're really going to delve deep into what's going on. But in your virtual site, your virtual museum site, what you want to do is present that in a way that people can look at it and understand it and know what's going on almost immediately. So that's going to be the challenge. And one of the things that we'll do, the first part from here today, you're going to be doing research. But one of the things that we'll do after that is when we come back together for a work day is you'll be figuring out how are you guys as a team going to do that. So Miss Alton, who is normally is always our technology person. I don't know how many of you guys have met or seen Miss Alton. Is going to show you some examples of things that have been done in the past, and with a little bit of commentary. You may notice that Miss Alton is busy baking a baby, so she's not going to be around. But for so long this semester, she'll be back next semester. But we'll be kind of filling in for tech support, which may or may not be good.
Okay, guys. So I'm going to show you 3 examples of projects that were done last year. I want you to note that all of these got to a low A. So if you are expecting to get a solid A, high A, you have to go above and beyond these. This is where your quality points come in. You have access to the website rubric. I highly suggest you and your group really go through it and make sure you are hitting every point that is on it. Because just because you check all the boxes, if you just go through and say, yep, we did that, we did that, we did that, that gets you a B. Doing what is asked gets you a B. It does not get you an A in Blue Ridge. You have to find a way to go above and beyond. And if you just say, ask your teacher or ask me or Mr. Curway, well, how do I get an A? We can't tell you that because that's part of going above and beyond. You have to find a unique way or a different way or a creative way to add something to your project that's not just part of checking the boxes. Let's see. So this is one that I thought they did a really nice job on. A couple things you'll notice is you can tell immediately what their topic is, not just by the title, but because of the kind of pictures they've chosen, the way they've laid it out. You know, you notice on the front page, they've got a really nice big picture with a caption, clear paragraphs of their information. All of their pictures, they have a description of what you're looking at, so you know why they put it on there. And then as you come down, as they talk about each one of the different inventions, they've really made each section stand out. Out of the three I'm going to show you, this is probably one of my favorites. Their timeline isn't open, but that's okay. So you'd have to make sure that's open. That's probably one of the reasons they didn't get full credit on this, because they can see it and their teachers can see it, but they didn't share the Google Doc correctly so that everyone can see it. And then you'll notice their navigation is over here. It's clear, it's easy to read. Let's see if their map room, oh, their map is closed too. But that's all right, they just didn't give Mr. Caraway access to it. But you'll notice they have really strong headers that really kind of reflect another one. So it's a little bit different setup for theirs. You know, it's more directly into their topics. What would maybe be one of your critiques of this one? Right, this would be a great place to use more pictures. Maybe a small picture for each one of the inventions, just to break up all the dark colors. Yes, hard to read. Their information is good, their timeline is good, but it's hard to read. One of the things I would really recommend is, you know, ask your teacher, can I look at our site on your computer? Look at your site on different computers so you can kind of get an idea what it looks like. Or have them throw it up on the projector so you can see, is my font big enough? Is everything organized well and easily? And here's one they did a really nice job with their map page, where they've highlighted all the things and it pops up and tells you what it is. They've done areas. So a really nice job with their map page. Interactive, everything is there. Here's another one that I really like, the Ancient Romans from last year. You'll notice they do a really nice job. One thing I really like is that they have an introduction, kind of giving an overview with pictures, and they really made it easy to see the different sections on the home page. And you'll notice with the timeline, you don't have to have these crazy, ridiculous kind of things for it, but that is a great place to get extra quality points. Fleshing out your timeline, making it a little more interesting is a great way to get those extra points. This is a good timeline. This is a check the box. They probably got full points for it, but they didn't go above and beyond in terms of ways they could really make it interesting. First, you are not just making this for your teacher. The other teachers are going to be looking at it, other students are going to be looking at it, and everyone in the world has access to look at it. So you want to make it an interesting website that someone would actually want to go to get information. Any questions about the sites? Okay.
Thank you, Michelle. So here's the deal. We're not going to spend a great deal of time talking about the websites themselves today, even though that is the final product of this project. We're going to have a work day where that's where we really focus on kind of bringing you guys together as a team and working through making the kinds of decisions that these teams made about what sites do you, what kind of pictures, what kind of images, how do you want your site to look. You'll all have an opportunity to do that when you get back together. But I did want to say a couple of things about this in relation to what Ms. Alton was just talking about. And one thing I didn't mention, I mentioned it's a good idea to look at the rubrics on this project. I want to just show you something real quick on this. If you look at the grading section on this, again, it tells you everything that you'll need to know about about how the project is graded. We've got all the different parts. One of the things you'll want to know is the overall rubric, and the overall grading rubric kind of breaks down how much of it is your part, how much of it is kind of the team part. You get the research paper, that's about 70%. So that's really, most of it is going to be on you. Then there's the project point. But up to, this is an interesting piece here. So you got 70%, 15%, 10%, and then you can get up to 10 points or 10% on quality points. So what's the total grade there? Quick, you met people. You get every single point that you possibly can get. Yes. 105. Yeah, so we give you the opportunity to even go above and beyond 100. But you can also potentially lose points. So one of the things that Ms. Alton was talking about was this thing called quality points. This is something you will see on a lot of Blue Ridge projects. And this is your first project. We kind of go a little easy on this, but we get more stringent as we go. And that is, quality points are given for basically things that you do above and beyond. As Ms. Alton was saying, we've got a basic set of expectations. But if all you do is check the boxes and kind of mail it in, you're okay. You're going to be B plus maybe. But if you want to really extend, for most of the work in this program, you want to step out beyond that. And again, we'll help you with that. We want, we're not trying to set people up. But one of the things to note is it's always good to be looking, how can I do something that's really clearly extra special good on this? And that's kind of what the whole quality points idea is about. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Again, we'll kind of go over all this. The main point for you right now, when you leave today, will be to focus on your research and your research paper. We'll come back together and talk about this. But I wanted Ms. Alton to share this because she'll be out by the time on maternity leave by the time you guys come back in for the work day. All right, get back to this. Okay, a couple more things here. We're going to get into that a little bit later. Mr. Reynolds. You haven't met Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds is our online coordinator and computer science teacher. And he actually, in the future, as you guys are looking at different online courses, he's the guy that kind of covers all that and also works a lot with just some of the online components of the project.
Morning, everybody. So he was talking about making this virtual museum. And so at the very end of all of it, after you get all this through, so it's going to be a while before we get into it, a little project called History's Got Talent. Isn't that a great name? I came up with it myself. Anyway, so, and it's all about who's got the best websites. We're going to be going through here. So not only do you hit all the requirements, but you become awesome. So you bring tears of joy to your history teachers, whenever your classmates wish that their site was your site was their site. We'd like to be able to use your site, just like we did previously on another slide, for future world history students to be able to look at and say, wow, that's amazing. Mr. Caraway goes to when he wants to show what government school students do. It'd be great to have your site be that. Even professional web designers, if we get some of those involved with our contest. I just can't believe that the school made this kind of site, this virtual museum. And then, of course, this would be an ultimate that they would go to your site. They're trying to find some accurate information about a topic that's in your museum. So that would be really cool that you'd be like number one on Google. That'd be great. So, so think about that you're not just doing a project just for a grade, but you're actually putting something out there that could be very useful to the public, to everybody. So, and that tear of joy would be great. So we'll talk about that later as we get closer and closer, because you still got to make it all and get it all started. So when it all finishes up, we'll talk about History's Got Talent.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so that'll be a full-on contest that we will do towards the end of the project. So what we're doing from here on out is going to be working with your group, your project groups, on several different things. So that means we have to kind of rearrange the room and sit with the project group. So what I'm going to do is kind of go through and tell you guys the general area. What we'd like is for groups to kind of sit in like a group of chairs, like maybe 3 in front and 3 in back, so that you guys can talk to each other without being all the way down at one row. So I'm going to kind of just start filling you in. So I'm going to show you where everybody's going to be. Don't move yet. Okay, go ahead, pick up your stuff. Be ready to move. I'll tell you when to move, but I'm going to give you the idea of where you're going to be. But remain seated for the moment, because it gets a little crazy once everybody starts moving. Okay. So the first groups that I'm going to kind of give you where you're going to be are the Goochland and Fluvanna groups. So if you are group 1 of 3 Colombians, you're going to be in this area right here. 3 chairs up, 3 chairs back. If you are group 2, the Nile River group, you're going to be here. This is Goochland and Fluvanna only. Hold it, don't move yet. Just keep track of where you are. First 2 rows, the Nile's going to be here. Over where Mr. Devine is, the row 3 and row 4 is going to be Rome or Goochland and Fluvanna. Over here is going to be medieval Europe. Okay. Track. Fertile Crescent's going to be right over there. Greeks are going to be over here. Ancient China's going to be back over here. Age of Exploration is going to be over here. All right, we're going to keep going with this. For Goochland and Fluvanna, the pre-Columbian South Americans is going to be right here. The Islamic civilization is going to be over there, those seats. The India group here, Renaissance there. Now we're switching over to Louisa and Nelson are going to be back in this area. So let's see, the pre-Columbian, Mesoamericans here, Nile River there, Greeks there, ancient China kind of in the middle, and then Islamic over there. So you may need to borrow some chairs from some other places. If one of the groups from Louisa and Nelson wants to kind of tuck over towards the back, you can do that. You guys figure that out. Does everybody have a general sense of where you're going? Get to where you're going and find the rest of your group.
I don't know. Wait, Mr. Carroll, did you say the Aztec and Mayan Empire?
Yeah, it was pre-Columbian Mesoamerica.
Okay.
Which is, so you got Louisa and Nelson, right? Yeah, that would be, I think you're going to be kind of on this side. Yeah. Okay, don't turn your chairs around yet. Sorry, I should have given that direction, or at least you're going to need to see the screen, and you're going to be doing something individual. So just be facing forward. We'll turn you around. So guys, go ahead and face forward. Go ahead and face forward for just 1 more minute, and then we'll turn chairs around. We've got 1 task for you to do. Okay. So, one of the things we talk about a lot, and you will find out a lot about in this program, is there's a lot of teamwork. There's a lot of work with teams. You guys are all obviously smart enough to be in this program and have done well enough. And sometimes that's a frustrating thing. If you're used to doing things well on your own, it can be frustrating being a team. And there's a lot of things that we're going to work on over the years that you're in here about how teams work well together, how they make decisions, how they get stuff done. Because a lot of people don't know this stuff. I work a lot with a place called the Federal Executive Institute in Charlottesville, where there are people like who have their PhDs who are 50 years old who come in to work on how to be on a team so that they can get stuff done better.
So I'm going to give you one real quick example about why teams and how teams can be better than just individuals at times. So I'm about to put something up on the screen, and it's going to be up there for about 30 seconds. And I just want you to look and try to memorize everything that you see on the screen. Those of you in the back, if you need to stand up and move a little closer, you can do that. But it's going to be up for about 30 seconds. Nobody talk. Nobody write down anything. Just look and see all of these objects as soon as, there we go. Here are your tasks. Without talking, oh. I skipped over. There it goes. Okay. Just look, 30 seconds. No talking. Okay, done. Now, without talking, your task. Take a piece of paper, or maybe your leftover scavenger hunt sheet or whatever, and without talking, make a list of all of the objects that you can remember from that. Silently. All of the objects. You got 1 minute starting now. Without looking at each other's list. Pencils. Mr. Reynolds, we got some pencils up here.
Never mind.
Yeah. Are we looking at other people's lists? Get about 15 more seconds. How many of these? Okay. Where we are, stop. So here's your task. Add up, so each person will have, figure out how many you have. Like maybe you have 7, maybe you have 9, maybe you have 12. Figure out how many you have for each person in the group. How many does one person have? How many does the next person have? And then divide that number by divide the total number by the group number. You're trying to find the average. What's the average number of answers that the members of your group have? So now you can turn your chairs around if you want, by the way. All the number total divided by how many people you have? 6 people in the group? You guys can use your phone as a calculator.
I can do it.
All right, raise your hand if your group has figured out their average yet. Okay, still working on a few. Give you just a little bit more. Use it for a calculator, but not for text right now. Thank you. Okay, everybody got your average? Okay, if your group averaged more than 20, raise your hand. If the group average was more than 20, it was more than 15. Raise your hand. It was more than 10. Raise your hand. Okay, what'd you guys have? 11? 11? 12? 11? 11? That's okay. That's about standard. Yep. How much? What was your average? 14. Oh, that's good. That's strong. Yeah. Usually average is somewhere between 11 and 12. Now, here's your next task. So you got another minute. Now share. You got to compare your list and come up with a single master list. How many objects between you did you get? So take another minute to do that.
There was flies. There was a quarter. And a Hershey's kiss. The lighter. Did anybody else get that? Oh, I get the
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get the bug.
So you got about another 15 seconds.
I don't even remember that. Is that like that big thing? I think I know what you're talking about. I thought that was
There's like wires. Wires.
Okay, as we're winding down here, count up the number of objects you have on your group list now. How many do you have on your master list? Count those up. All right, time out. So your master list of all items with all of your group members having input. How many group, raise your hand if your group had more than 20. Wow. So real quick, just sampling, how many did you guys have? 21? You guys had? 25. 23. How many did you guys have? 22. 22. 23. 23. How many items do you think there were all total? Let's see which ones you missed. There were 25. You guys got it exactly right. How about that? How about a hand for these guys? That's pretty impressive. Come on, give them a hand. Come on. That's good. All right. One more question.
Oh, they're at the USC.
One more question. Time out. Look at the difference between the number you had total and the number that you had as an average for your group before you shared your list. So, how many of you had more than 10 different between your original average and then the number that you got? So you guys increased from, so wow, a lot of groups had more than 10. I mean, basically almost 100% difference in terms of recall, the different items that you had. So this is what we're talking about, the power of teams. This is where you guys are going to be coming together for on this project, you're going to be coming together. You will each have become an expert on a particular invention, but you're also on that civilization in general. You know, there's knowledge that comes along with that. So when you get together and talk about what you're going to highlight, everybody's going to have something they contribute to that discussion. So that's a big part of this point. So, I mean, this is an exercise that a lot of, I was just telling a couple teachers, we use this with state police and with other organizations because it shows how much more a team can do and can remember and keep track of how much more information than one person individually. So nice job on that. And we're going to turn over to Mr. Reynolds. Actually, we're backing off this for the moment. We don't have a slide for your thing. Sorry.
World history is all about learning about new cultures. Because I'm a sci-fi buff, you guys are going to start learning about the Martian culture. Isn't that exciting? So, you're going to be doing an activity that's very similar to those of you who went to the orientation. It's little cards. You remember doing little cards?
Yeah. I remember the card.
I hate those things. These are fun. I like them anyway. I like watching you guys try to figure them out. So you're going to need to be in your circles when you do this, but somebody's going to come up and get a card. I'll try to remind you, one of these cards will not give you an answer. But all the cards together will give you the final answer to the question. And the question is also on the card. So each time you come up, you'll have to figure that out. And you're going to learn about the Martians that have come and visited our planet. You're going to try to communicate with this new culture using these cards. So, and I will be the interpreter. I'll see how well you do with that. So as you send one person up to get the stack of cards, the other ones can kind of make your little group into a circle, and you'll work together to figure out how to interpret the culture. This will determine the order for lunch.
Jackson, good group. Are you peaceful?
Hey, wait a minute.
Yes.
We're gonna need some of the info off these cards. Hey, don't be cheating there, buddy.
I wasn't all trying to ask.
Yeah, ask him what the answer is. Yeah. Hey, no fight. I got rid of all of you, didn't I? What? Working on it. You all want to? Are you rolling through? Oh, you part of the same group? All right, hang on.
Can we come up with a group? I have more like this. I don't know how you can.
All right, who's the next group?
I'm
All
sorry.
right, everybody else sit down.
Not 50. You all said it. Hey, it's not my fault. I wasn't here. Well, maybe that's my shit.
We all hang back there. The yellow card. You got the yellow card?
No, it's purple.
Sit back.
Maybe we should maybe you should go up to that. Is it?
Hey, Kate.
Hey, did you get peaceful too? That's not right.
Like the part I had was
Hey, did.
well, like if it
No.
Oh,
wrecked.
hang on, hang on. Hang on, hold on, hold on.
All right. That means. You got one of those at your school? You got one of those at your school? We got Scholastic balls.
All the other groups move back.
Scholastic ball, they ask you about the vitamins. Like,
I didn't, there was a thing, I picked it up.
Good cord right there.
Next group.
Morgan, there's another set of cards. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I was just gonna ask you.
You guys are. You don't remember what
No, we didn't. I don't know why you like this.
civilization. It changed how their lives were actually lived. These are great answers. I mean, you really have hit this. I mean, a lot of things. How did it influence the culture? How did it influence the survivability? How did it influence the daily lives? If you look, the development of civilization was an offshoot of the development of what? Of what? Agriculture, exactly. You couldn't have a civilization. You couldn't build a city. You couldn't have Sumer without the ability to irrigate and grow crops in a controlled fashion. That was in itself a tremendous technological development. So you guys, as you're looking at, like, we've had some interesting things over the years where people have gotten into this project where people have said, the color blue was an amazing adventure, an amazing invention of the Mayans. Well, the Mayans didn't really invent the color blue. I mean, kind of go out and see the sky, it was already invented there. You know, thinking about like, and they had some rationale for that. The Mayans had this particular thing that they used in their artwork that was really a nice color blue. It was very nice. Yeah, did it really do all of those things that you guys just said? No, it didn't really. So you're going to be kind of evaluating what you have. So what you're going to be doing is figuring out who's going to have which inventions. So there's a couple of things about this. This is what you're going to be doing here. You're going to be, first, in just a minute here, you're going to be getting one computer per group. And your group is going, somebody in your group is going to go to the website and start a page that will be shared out with everybody in the group and your teachers. So I'm going to just kind of show you that process here for just a second. Let's see, let's show you what this looks like. So you go to the, when you go to the website, go to group work. And the first part of this is you're going to need to complete the World History Semester 1 Inventions Decision Template. So one of you needs to be on the computer, but everybody needs to be a part of this because it's going to be a discussion. You're going to go to that template. When you click on it, it says, do you want to have a copy of this? And you are going to say yes. Make a copy. And it's going to create a document that says copy of. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to change the name of that document because I have approximately 10,000 documents called copy of something in my thing because people always make copies and then share it. So you need to change the name before you share it with anybody because otherwise nobody will know whose it is. So here's what you need to do. And this tells you on the website. You need to call it World History Sem1 Invention Decisions plus your set of school initials. So if you are a Gooseland-Flavanna group, it'll be FG or GF. If you are Louisa Nelson, it'll be LN. You'll put your school initials. Then you put your topic, like Greeks, ancient China, Indian, Mesopotamia, whatever it happens to be. And then you're going to put 1718 because that's the school year, 2017-2018 school year. And that's how we're going to make sure that your thing is right. So for me, since I'm not really in any of your groups, I'm going to call my example copy here. I'm going to call it decisions template. Let's call it, let's see, we'll say BR Martians 1718. There we go. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go down here and you are going to list the inventions that you guys have brought in. You've done some pre-research. What are the things that you know about? So you're going to list those inventions. And so you list the inventions down here. I'm not going to go through this. You're going to maybe put a word or two. We don't have a ton of time, so you don't have to put a whole lot here. But a word or two. Why was this invention important? Then you're going to need to put your student names down across, yeah, right here where it says student 1, student 2. Your names would go into those spaces. And I'll leave the example up for this. Then what's going to happen from there gets a little weird. We're going to be using something called weighted voting. And weighted voting means that each person in the group gets 5 votes that they can spread around anywhere. So once you have your list of inventions, let's say you think one is really pretty good. You can give it 3 votes. And you think this one's okay, you can give it 1 vote. And another one's okay, you can give that one 1 vote. Or you can give 5 different inventions 1 vote apiece. Is this making sense? You get 5 votes essentially spread around. I'm going to have an example up here. In the example, they only have 3 votes to spread around. You guys will have 5. It makes it a little bit easier to figure this out. So what it's going to end up looking like, kind of going back to the slideshow here, it's going to end up looking like this. You know, what are the inventions? So you'll list your inventions.
down this way. Why was it important? You know, just a couple of, you know, the group should know why this was it. You should have some conversation about that, at least, and then a couple of words that say, okay, here's something we think about this invention, about why it's important. And then you're going to have your names like this, and then each person's votes are going to be put down. So let's say, so Bill has, no, in this example, they've got 5. So Bill has 5 votes. So he gives 1 here, he gives 2 there, he gives 1 there, and he gives 1 there. And then Crystal gives 3 here, and she gives 2 there. Is that making sense? You guys following this so far? All right, this is it. So that is your task, is to do this. So in order to do this task, and we're going to turn the lights on. I'm going to leave this up so you can see it as an example. If you have questions about it, I and your teachers are going to be kind of circulating around to double check to make sure everybody's getting this right. Once again, you'll need to share this with everybody in your group, and you need to share it with your teachers once you've got it renamed. You're going to pick up one of these computers. When you do, hey guys, when you do, you're going to hope that it's on. Let me grab this out, if you wouldn't mind. Grab this out. Yeah. All right, you can. We had turned all these on and connected them. So we got a couple of different networks here. This is just kind of a heads up. There's some BRVGS networks. If you were in the back half of the room, you can connect to that if you feel like it, but they should be connecting to the Best Western network. I wasn't sure if we're going to have to recut them. Here he is. All right. So here's the big thing you need to know. Whoever's the control of the computer, it's down here at the bottom. It says browse as guest. Click on that, and then go to Gmail and sign into your Blue Ridge account. Don't just sign in on this window here. Click on browse as guest first. The reason for that is it doesn't pull all your information down, doesn't slow the network down. So we will need one person from each group. Guys? Pardon? If you have a computer and you're okay with that and you can connect to this network, do you know the network? Yeah. No, I think probably not. I think probably you'd be better off with these. So one person from each group will need to come up and get one of these computers, and then you guys will need to follow these steps. And if you need any guidance on that once you get going, I will come in and the rest of us will be around to help you. So please send one person. Only of your group to pick up. Okay, this is one for a group for the back. Somebody from the back. There we go.
We'll have fun. They said that we're going to use it a lot during the year.
I'm working, man. Now it's trying to connect. Quick timeout. Quick timeout. Real quick. I just want to kind of review this real quick on order of operations because I think some groups are kind of jumping ahead. You really need to have, first of all, you need to have your list, just your list, and what makes it important before you start on anything else. Then, after you have the full list, that's when you do your voting. Everybody gets $5. So I hear some people kind of talking and trying to make some decisions. This is about making a process decision. So you want to have the list of inventions first, along with the reasoning, and then you put the names in and put the votes in. Make sense? Yes, you're right. Absolutely. Go for it. Do good work. I did not. I did like. Marty, put that down. I never said that. I'm done. I am done.
I put something to this class today.
We're trading everything. Use 10 words, man. Save people. Hey, man, what's with that? Wait, no, wait, no. Get it? Get it? We skip here to cheat that one.
Or because.
Voting yet? Voting yet? Or you still?
My computer. My bad, I got you back. as they pass the computer around, each person again has 5 votes to spread around on bicycle, 2 on concrete, 1 on cement, and 1 on television. You just go down the column and make sure you put your 5 votes.
I have to share it with you all. There were like 20,000 megabits in
Okay, guys, you need to make that list. You've got to make that list. You can't just come in and say, this is the thing I'm going to do. It was from another school. I don't know, but I just told them, I said, just let everybody vote, and then you take the top votes. But you got to be able to make a compelling argument for how that, one of my students wanted to do pyramid shape.
All right, one more timeout. One more timeout. I need everybody's attention. There's some things that are coming up as far that don't really fall in. If you look at the website, for this research project, an invention is defined as a new device, method, or process developed from study and experimentation. So basically, like we're getting some really generic stuff like religion or Olympics or whatever. And it needs to be a really specific, something that has been clearly developed and put into process. You know, a piece of artwork or a sporting event doesn't really fall into that. So think in terms of technological advancements or development. So we've only got a few minutes left here. You go back to your list there, and one of the things you'll definitely want to do is make sure that's what's showing up. Go. Yeah, I have several just because people tend to write different stuff. My brother was like,
We need to make sure we get all this transfer, because there's a lot.
yeah.
Including crap papers.
What's that? Yeah. Guys, I've gotten a couple of questions on this. Once you've gotten to the point where you've gotten your voting, okay, you'll see which ones line up as the most, what your group considers to be the most important. So in this example, these guys picked concrete as their number one, scissors were high on the list, bicycle, GPS. You may have some ties in there. That's okay. But what you need to do is to figure out which of your inventions, once you've gotten your voting done, which of your inventions you guys have decided as a group. That's what this voting process shows. And then you need to assign those. And that last column over there, that's where you're going to put who's going to do what. So in this example, Bill's going to do the bicycle, Kurt's going to do the scissors, Aaliyah's going to do the concrete, Crystal's going to do GPS. If you have a tie, like an importance tie, like say for number 3, 4, or 5, it's okay. You guys can just decide that as a group. But you'll need to do that and make these assignments within about the next 5 minutes. So we're going to start packing up here. You done? Yeah, y'all gotta see something. Y'all gotta see something. All right, guys, as you finish up, we need to get your computers up front. We need to make sure all the trash is off the floor. I see like lots of little candy wrappers, even though I asked you guys not to put candy wrappers on the floor. So I don't care if you dropped it or not, please just pick up anything close to you and start getting your chairs facing back forward. And again, as you finish up, and we need you to wrap up in the next couple minutes here. If you don't wrap up, let your teachers know. They'll give you an opportunity to finish up virtually. You guys will have a chance to communicate about this, and we will be back in touch about this. Teachers will be checking these and make sure everybody's got the list that they need. So trash up, rows back facing forward, and computers up front. Hold up.
I know, I'm ready to go on the road. I'll do it.
You know Mauricio. I love Mauricio.
I know someone who used that crush on me.
Thank you. Always nice here. It's perfect.
I'm going down here.
Ladies and gentlemen, all right, we're backing up here and start getting ready to head out. Again, as Ms. Garza said, please make sure everything's off the floor as much as possible. You guys did great work today. We will be back together soon for a work day, and actually we're going to be probably between now and the work day, actually be going to DC truck, so we'll see you guys at those. And we'll see you out in class. Nice job. You guys be safe. Mr. Rico, you ready to roll? All right, good plan. Get out there with Rico. Thank you. You guys have a good afternoon.
Oh, yes.
I'm so excited.